Hey, we're with Buddy and Nancy. And in this particular conversation, we're talking about those little things that will get underneath our skin and irritates us about our spouse, or it irritates us about other people around us. And we're going to call those thorns. So let's listen in.
I was raised that if you're 15 minutes, if you're on time, you're late. You need to be 15 minutes early for everything. That's respectful to other people.
And I operate as if we're at church by the time they play the sit down music, it's okay. So this is the truth. This is a Sunday, and especially Sunday mornings when we're coming here.
Yeah.
There's
But
that.
I bet he's like, you're being so disrespectful.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's like I said, you're never late for work. You're never late for school. But it's okay to be late for church. That's just disrespectful to God. But God shows me grace, and He.
Yeah. And so there's even been times that we've had this little skip, and we're like 2 minutes late.
Yeah.
And they've just started the sit down. I was about to sit down music, and so then I start counting. I said, "Okay, buddy, I see 1, 2, 10 people have come in after we're seated in church." So that's our little thing. So we are wired very differently.
She didn't see the 600 people that got there on time.
Yes. Yes, there we go. So we do have our little things.
Yeah.
We do.
And then what is it for you?
My thorns.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of it is that I don't. We've
Toilet seat.
the toilet seat's always been. That has been. Yes, and I always wonder why is it so hard to put that toilet seat back down, buddy? But
Well, it's confusing. Do you need it up or do you need it down?
Which way do you want it? Right. No, but I would say like those little thorns is I'm very sensitive. I'm very empathetic. Empathy is not one of his greatest traits, and he will tell you that. I'm not speaking against him, and so I can easily be hurt. Mm-hmm. So, and actually, you probably could even take it. I'm probably super sensitive, oversensitive, so I don't do criticism well. Mm-hmm. And so that sometimes can be that if you really want to get that prick in that thorn, criticize me. Mm-hmm. So
Do you feel not good enough?
Yeah,
well,
that's what I was asking.
well, and I can take it back to all the feelings. I had a mom who was a perfectionist, and she required that of everyone. So that's how I became the people pleaser. Mm-hmm. So I have the people pleaser personality. And so like when criticism or anything comes along, I take it very personal, and that I'm not good enough, that I'm not doing it right, I haven't done it perfectly, and so I would have to say that's probably my biggest.
So I could really relate to Buddy in this. He obviously has some type of thorn where he feels disrespected when Nancy is not on time. Mm-hmm. Because she's on time for work, she's on time for school, but going to church, she's not on time, and he feels like that's disrespectful to God. And I can really see that in myself, because in some of our conversations, I used to feel so disrespected by you around different things. Like if I were to be in a conversation and get interrupted, or if I were to be talking and then you're like, oh, you have something you want to say, I would have this thing go on for me where it just shuts me down, and I feel so much disrespect from you.
Yeah, I remember that cycle of like you're talking about something and I'm like excited about what you're talking about, and I want to just join in or ask a quick question, and this look would come over you, and I would have this sensation of like, oh, what did I do? Like, I'm just trying to connect with you. I'm trying to be in your conversation. And it took us years before we actually had awareness around what was playing in the background.
Yeah.
And it's a nasty thorn of disrespect. And, that comes from your childhood of being taught how to respect. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it has everything to do with my past and how I would perceive my past of being disrespectful. Like I could see in the way that my family would relate to each other in the past, and I would see as being like, if you interrupted, that is disrespectful, and I don't know it. I guess it stayed with me over the years, and especially in the military and law enforcement. This whole thing about I am not to be interrupted.
Yeah. I remember there were a couple times that you would even be like, you go ahead and talk.
Oh yeah.
And it would just completely defeat me and shut me down because I have an interest in talking with you. And now I don't. Like, now I feel like you got sarcastic, or, you know, it just made me feel a certain way.
There would be an immediate feeling whenever this thorn gets pushed in me, and it's internal. It's like something's going on internally that is triggering a past emotion, a past feeling that has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And it's internally like there's something coming up for me like, you don't like that, remember?
Uh-huh.
Remember, Travis? You don't like that feeling? Because I get hot, my heart rate goes up, and I'm like, oh!
You just interrupted me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad you've gotten healing around that thorn, man.
Me too. And Nancy has her own thorn.
Yeah,
going
and
on for
so
her.
do I. And, you know, I really related with what Nancy said because she was sharing about perfectionism. And boy, did I get that strong from my childhood. Of just, there's a certain way to act and be in public. And I had a very high standard for myself, internally and externally, which turned into this perfectionist thing around me and who I am and what I do. And so anytime something was pointed out that I did wrong, or I didn't do it right, or you can do better, I heard it as I'm not good enough. And boy, did I find that everywhere I looked. And so, man, I felt all the time that you were telling me I'm not good enough. Anytime you had like an advice or something that I could do better, which I just couldn't hear. I just literally could not hear you.
Yeah.
In that you were for me because it was against me. And it has everything to do with what I had going on for me. It's my thorn. It's not your thorn. Just like it doesn't bother me for somebody to interrupt me. I just go with the flow because it's not a thorn for me.
Yeah.
And the same thing for you. The perfection, I'm not good enough thing is not a thorn for you.
Wow.
And so in a relationship, you can see how we trigger each other's thorns, and we take this even a step further in our transformational course that we have, because in a marriage, it goes into what's called a vicious vortex of death. I trigger him, he triggers me. I trigger him, he triggers me. And it goes in this spiral. And before you know it, you can't come back from it.
It's not in a healthy way.
It's not healthy. We end up separating. There's disconnection. There's a loss of intimacy immediately. And
a loss of safety and openness.
Yeah.
I put up walls.
Yes.
You put up walls.
Mm-hmm.
And then we become these roommates again.
Right.
Until we can get those walls down.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't even realize that we were not accessing true intimacy, because that was our relationship. On a daily basis, we triggered each other. And if a day went by that we didn't trigger each other, it was rare. Because we learned to live with these constant little triggers. But guess what? Like, we hold those in, we keep score, and we use it against our spouse in a future argument. And it's extremely unhealthy, and it's detrimental to your relationship because it automatically cuts off any connection that's there. And before you know it, you're drifting, and you're getting further and further away from connection and intimacy. And so I know that was actually one of the questions that was asked on Instagram is, you know, keeping score over all the little things, and how do you deal with that? And it's about letting go, because who am I to say, like, when he triggers me, it has everything to do with me and what my past. And so having true forgiveness there, because I can recognize as something that I need to work on. It's not his problem. And so opening up that, hey, that triggered me, and I'm going to let that go because I realize it's about me. And when there's true forgiveness there, it shows grace on both sides. And so when I'm not being forgiving, it is saying that you don't deserve grace. And Jesus says that every single person, he died for everyone. Everyone deserves grace. So I love it. I heard that the other day and I was just wowed by that statement.
I like that statement. And if this is something that would make a difference for you, you can go check out and get more information at thenoblemarriage.com.
Mm-hmm.
Sign up for one of our courses and get some freedom over this. Freedom over, for me, taking things so personal.
Right.
In our relationship.
Yeah.
And the keeping score.
Yeah, and just dealing with those thorns that are always there, because the more we have gotten freedom over our thorns, the less they bother us.
They do.
And you and I can have conversation on a daily basis and not be triggered for days, weeks, and months.
That's right.
So when that trigger does show up, we're able to quickly deal with it and move on.
Yeah, there you are.
I see you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us today for our conversation, and we hope you'll join us next time. Bye.
Bye.